My mother came to visit me in the city. I came to a high-end retail store to give my mother some clothes as a gift, since she usually doesn't associate with luxury brands. This is a place for celebrities, CEOs, and other wealthy people who suit the store. It's not a place for miserable poor parents and their children to come and show off. The value of the store's products will go down, so get the hell out of here. Don't come here again. The clerk shouted abuse at me and my mother, who were dressed like normal people. I'm sorry, miss, for making you feel uncomfortable. As compensation, I'll buy all your clothes here. Is that all right with you? My mother said quietly and pointed to the row of clothes in front of her. Huh? You're so vain for something you can't even do. You miserable old woman. Yes, how would you like to pay? With this. Huh? What my mother did after this. My name is Chris Lee. I grew up in a small town in the countryside with my father and mother. The country town was quite inconvenient, and there were no supermarkets or entertainment facilities nearby. The basin terrain with its hot summers and cold winters was sometimes a problem for us. However, even this rural town did not consist of only inconvenience. This town has a thriving textile industry with sewing factories everywhere, and almost everyone here works in a sewing factory. My parents also owned a textile factory, and they both were busy running the business and doing day-to-day work. Most of my school days were spent balancing school and housework. I taught myself to do chores and cooking, and I was in charge of most of the housework. I'm sorry for all the trouble I put you through, Chris. I know you're at an age where you want to hang out with your friends. If you ever have a hard time or something, just tell me right away.
I'm really sorry. I know we're busy right now, but after work settles down, we can go on a trip somewhere as a family.
It's okay, Dad, Mom. I know you're busy at the factory, and I'm not trying to put myself on the line for you. I'm just trying to help you too. Besides, a thank you is better than a sorry. Well, thank you for everything, Chris. The happiest time for me was when my parents would come home from work and enjoy the food I made for them. My father, the factory manager, was at the factory from early in the morning until late at night, and there were days when he stayed overnight and never came home. But thanks to his hard work and dedication to the textile work and the operation of the factory in that way, the quality and the care of the work were well received by the people of town and the customers alike. My father was respected by many people for his ability to deliver the most orders without cutting corners. Therefore, he received more orders than any other factory. And because of the fast-paced fashion of the clothes, the orders were steadily increasing and the business was thriving. Here's your lunch. Eat it when you take a break. Dad, you don't look so good. You're staying over again today, right? Take it easy.
Yeah, I know. If I get sick or something, it's bad for everybody. Thanks for the lunch.
Have a safe trip. My father's overnight stays had increased proportionately, and I didn't see him as much those days. I'd been worried about my father's health, though. The only thing I could do was to make him lunch when he came home to get his clothes. That morning, I received an urgent call from my exhausted mother. My father had collapsed from overwork when he was left alone in the middle of the night. When my mother came to work in the morning, she found my father in a coma, and he was rushed to the hospital. By the time I rushed to the hospital, my father had already passed away. After his funeral, his death came up in the agenda of the entire factory in town, and an emergency meeting was held. Increasing the number of workers late at night to prevent this from happening again. Thorough physical condition management. Medical checkups once a year. And when you feel unwell, don't be shy or forceful, and take a rest. We came to the conclusion that physical safety is linked to work safety, and we should create a set of factory rules and share them among the factories. All of the factories were understaffed, and some were forced to work overtime. A policy was also adopted to reduce the number of factories and increase the number of eyes on the workforce.
The truth is, we had to think about it before this happened to Mr. Lee. It's our lack of awareness. It's really regrettable. But that's why we have to renew our awareness and be vigilant so that it doesn't happen again. Ma'am, or rather Mrs. Lee, let's do our best together.
Yes, I will honorably carry on my husband's will. Everyone prioritized the safety of the townspeople over their individual interests. My mother, with tears in her eyes, rejoiced that there was a common understanding of respect for my father. My mother, who succeeded my father as plant manager, and I, who was prepared to support her as son, looked forward with renewed determination. Mom, I brought you lunch. And I also bought some croissants from the other employees. Oh, thank you, Chris. Hey, everyone, I'm going to stop for a break. The factory workers respect my mother in her hard work of making clothes every day. As the number of workers increased, the factory became more difficult to manage. However, the factory's performance grew steadily, thanks to the cooperation of the workers and my mother's personality and discretion. Yes, this fabric is turning out well. Please continue to pass it on to the next process. Yes. So we're going to put this one on hold. I'll check the working machine and make sure nothing is missed. Veteran craftsmen who have been working since their parents' generation have the so-called audition skills. They can assess materials by touching them. They meticulously inspect the weave of the fabric to judge its quality, and they confirm the quality of both sides of the material by feeling it. By utilizing these skills, their inspection process becomes accurate and efficient over time. Hey, Liam, how's the factory work? Oh, it's fun every day. I enjoy it every day. The factory manager and the workers are friendly. The work is worthwhile, and I'm glad I joined this company. I see. That's great. My best friend Liam, who started working 2 years earlier than me, had joined our factory. Whenever he came to visit me at the factory, it was my secret pleasure to hear from him about the factory and how things were going. Listen up, everyone. We have just received an order from the brand Hermes for our factory. That's great! Isn't Hermes a luxury brand? Amazing! We have to be even more enthusiastic. Guys, don't get me wrong. Luxury or not, what we do is still the same, to deliver good products to our customers. We don't care about which company they are. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. Whenever we received a new order, we all rejoiced with each other, and the factory grew into a large family where we shared both hardships and joys. Come to think of it, even though the factory workers are taking order for clothes, they wear the same clothes every day. I still feel uncomfortable that they don't enjoy the clothes, even though they are involved in the production of clothes. I was watching this situation with a cheerful heart, just as I was approaching the time of job hunting. At that time, every time I showed up at the factory, my mother and the workers were wearing the same work clothes every day, which made me feel uneasy. And when I saw how happy everyone was with the new orders, I knew what I was going to do. An apparel company? Yeah, that's the plan. I want to create a workplace where the people who make the clothes can also appreciate wearing them. I aim to establish a system that recognizes and rewards the hard work of those who get their hands dirty every day. Essentially, I want to design clothes that make it enjoyable for workers to wear them to work every day. That sounds like you. I will be rooting for you. Good luck. Thanks, Mom. I'll do my best to make sure you have nice clothes to wear too. I predicted that changing the system for the distributor would also change the environment of the actual clothing production site. I decided to work for an apparel company instead of a local factory. If the factory workers are making clothes for the public, I want to do what I can for them. With this in mind, I moved to the city. When I first joined the company, I spent my days struggling with a job I was unfamiliar with. As a new employee, my main job was to sell, and my coworkers and bosses trained me to do my job, even though I was unfamiliar with it. I was told that if I worked hard, I could later go to the proposal or manufacturing department, so this was the point where I had to step up my game to make my dream come true. A year later, when I was finally getting used to the city life and work, I decided to invite my mother here. At first, my mother was concerned about the factory and refused. But Liam, who had already mastered all aspects of the work, reassured her. "Chris, let me know the schedule. I'll come and visit you. He said I should at least take a vacation for you since you're working hard in the city." "Thanks, Mom. As for the dates," the employees assured my mom, "let us take care of the work for a few days and go enjoy your vacation." In the end, she agreed to come here. I was actually planning to buy my mother some luxury brand clothes for her upcoming birthday as a token of my appreciation for all she'd done for me. And the day my mother came to visit me where I live. "It's been such a long time since I last traveled with your dad." How many years had it been? I thought so then too. I'm still overwhelmed by the cityscape in the city. I know. I was the same way when I first came here. Well, we have 3 days, so let's enjoy it to the fullest. I agree. Let's go to the tourist attractions first. I'll show you around. It was refreshing to see my mother, who I had only ever seen working, enjoying herself with more enthusiasm than usual as soon as we arrived. More than anything, I was filled with joy at the sight of my mother. I myself was in a better mood than usual and enjoyed touring around the tourist spots with my mother. Wow, that was fun. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Mom, there's actually somewhere I wanted to take you. Oh, you still want to go? I'm so glad. We're going to St. Lawrence now. Come on, let's go. Oh, a luxury retail store? I'm so excited. My mom and I are here to shop for clothes at St. Laurent, the flagship store of one of the most prestigious brands in the world. This fabric is so beautiful. Look, the knitting is so tight, no mess. Very nice work. Mom, you're buying clothes, so look at the design. Oh, this one's made of a wonderful material. The quality of the lining and back is perfect. Well, this one's fabric looks great too. I can't stop looking at all of them. That's just like you. I was watching my mother enjoying this store with a wry smile from factory manager's unique perspective. Then, suddenly, someone shook off my mother's hand. Hey, what are you doing? I'm sorry, but could you please refrain from touching our products if you're dressed in such shabby attire? You're rude, aren't you? Judging from your attire, you're a star employee, right? I don't think it's appropriate to approach customers who come to buy clothes with those words. What are you talking about? Because I'm a store employee, I'm supposed to alert if someone unsuitable for this store is spotted, right? Touching this and that. It's really annoying, especially coming from someone so impoverished. Could you please not touch anything further? What's your intention anyway? Interference with our business? Stop it, or the quality of this store's clientele will be questioned. The one who slapped away her hand turned out to be a female store clerk named Lively. Despite my mother's surprised rebuttal, Lively wore a mocking smirk on her face, as if belittling us. Admittedly, neither my mother nor I were dressed in particularly stylish or upscale attire that might match the store's atmosphere. However, being ridiculed and looked down upon as poor or shabby, based solely on appearance, was something neither of us had experienced before. What do you think you are doing? I'm not saying you have to respect customers, but common courtesy should be a given. People like you from the dirt cheap families have no sense of etiquette anyway. I'm just warning customers who don't fit the store's image to maintain its dignity. This is a place for celebrities, CEOs, and other wealthy people who suit this place. It's not a place for miserably poor parents and their children to come to look good. It's only natural for a shopkeeper to throw them out, isn't it? Now, leave before the value of our product diminishes. Don't come back again. My mother restrained me with her hand as I tried to talk back to Lively, who was repeating her extremely unpleasant remarks. I'm sorry for making you feel uncomfortable, miss. I'll buy all your clothes as compensation. Is that all right with you? My mother said quietly and pointed to the row of clothes in front of her. Huh? You're so vain for something you can't even do. You miserable old woman. Yes, yes. How would you like to pay? With this. What? Lively, who was making fun of my mother's behavior, paled when she saw the black card that her mother held out to her. What's wrong? Please hurry up and make the payment. Or perhaps you refuse to accept payment from someone you consider poor? Think it's just a facade and they can't afford it? Please wait a moment. I watched from a distance as Lively, her face still pale, and my mother brimming with anger, paid at the cash register. My mother never got angry even though she scolded her employees for their mistakes. I think it was the first time I saw her silently be furious. My mother's first priority is to deliver good products to her customers, regardless of whether they are high-end or not, and regardless of which company they are. I guess Lively's attitude of judging and looking down on customers based on appearance alone was too much for her to bear. Ma'am? Well, just a moment ago. Chris, please hold this for me. Let me make a call. What? Yeah, okay. My mother had finished buying all the clothes, left me with a bag full of clothes, and started to make a phone call. Lively was still pale, acting suspiciously, and trying to say something. You? What's your name? Yes, my name is Lively. She's Lively. Yes, that's right. Miss Lively from the head office. She has been so kind to us. Mr. Jonas, what's going on? John? Mr. Jonas? The CEO? When Lively realized that the person on the other end of the phone was the CEO of this brand, she turned even paler and was stunned. I can't believe the way Miss Lively handles things. When I picked up the clothes in the store and looked at them, she shook my hand away. She called me poor and shabby and other horrible things. She even told me not to come back. My son brought me to this store to buy some clothes, but I am so displeased.
Mrs. Lee, I am so sorry.
Do you train your employees to sell clothes to customers based on their appearance? That's quite a noble store you have here.
No, that is not true. I will instruct your problem from here. Please let me apologize again later.
You know, this kind of person might do the same thing to other customers. It is a good idea to listen carefully and inquire properly. My mother was putting her phone on speaker in front of me and Lively, and telling Mr. Jonas what had happened so far. Even through the speaker, I could imagine how exhausted Mr. Jonas must be. "I'm sorry I got you into this mess. You took the trouble to bring me here." "No, it's okay. I had a bad feeling about that stuff too. Anyway, when did you get a black card? I didn't know you had one." "Well, Liam told me that it would be convenient for me to get a card if I go to the city for shopping. I never thought I'd be using it like this for the first time." "I didn't know that, but I've never seen a black card before." "Well, credit cards are mostly for general use." "Oh, that was..." A few hours had passed since that incident. I was having dinner with my mother and talking about that. A person who had just entered the store rushed over to us.
"I am so sorry that our people were so rude to you earlier."
"Mr. Jonas, no need to be so loud. This is a public place and people are watching." The person who apologized to her loudly was Mr. Jonas, the CEO of St. Laurent. He was the person my mother had called after she left the store. In fact, the factory my mother runs has a contract with this store, and clothes made in her factory were on the store shelves. I was completely unaware of contracts, so when I found out that the person my mother was talking to on the phone was the CEO, it was the first time I understood what was happening.
"Mrs. Lee, could you please not terminate our business relationship? Clothes made from your factory are very popular among our customers and now are indispensable. Please, please have mercy."
"We are always working with fabrics and materials to make sure that our clothes are nice and pleasing to the public at all times. Even the best clothes make look good, but if the customer service is bad, the product will look bad as well. Please don't lower the quality of the fabrics and materials and the finished products. If you promise that you will never do such a thing again, then we will continue our business relationship." My mother looked so confident, and I was impressed by her appearance. "Dad, she's inherited your will to continue the factory. I am sure my Father in heaven is watching over us happily. After that,
I will ensure that this will never happen again."
Mr. Jonas apologized and later fired lively. After interviewing and investigating, it seems that she had done the same thing to other customers. No wonder why the sales of the main store were declining. "Welcome. Looking for something? Please feel free to ask me anything." It was a learning experience for me, working for an apparel company. From manufacturing to customer service, from the factory to the retail store. I realized the importance of approaching each step with sincerity. Even if the customer service is good, if the product's quality is not good, it will not work. Likewise, even with a good product, poor customer service won't cut it. It's crucial to give our best effort in both the factory and the store until the product reaches the customer's hands. I made a renewed commitment to approach my work with sincerity, aiming to ensure that customers can enjoy the products crafted with care by the factory workers.